You see, the central message of Easter is the notion of hope, and yet everywhere today people face an awful conflict between reality and hope. The reality is many Australians are struggling and battling. They're entitled to ask, what hope do I have? Kids born into a world of broken families. Society is hopelessly violent in so many places. And people say, what hope do we have? They shake their heads. Society seems more greedy, more materialistic, more covetous than we've seen the stuff we talk about here every day. And people say of society, what hope have we got? Where are we going? What's going to happen? What hope is there? That's what they say. Politicians espouse democracy, which is meant to be government of the people, by the people, but they ignore the very people who put them there. And they shake their heads and say, people say, what hope have we got? When it suits, they lie to achieve their own ends. People pay their taxes and see others who don't. Goodness seems, to the ordinary bloke on Struggle Street who rolls his sleeves up and does it on a day, goodness seems too often to be vanquished. Easter was about the extent to which we wonder at the love and generosity of Jesus' gift to us in his dying for us and rising to a new life. I don't think anyone understands that. It's trite, it's cliched. Is it trotted out to get a media line? Wondering how we can accommodate to the tune of billions of dollars a rich Indian family. Does it fit the picture? It's a metaphor of what we're about. We're all for Australia going forward. That mining, that coal is for export, like the gas is for export. So your gas bill goes up because we've given licences to people to extract as much as they like and stick it on the export market. Hello. And you want some? Well, you'll buy it back. So Japanese business is getting Australian gas more cheaply than ours. They haven't got a clue, this people. This is the government of Australia. The government of Australia. And people say, what hope is there? And the Easter message is the triumph, that hope triumphs in the end. Well, I hope so. I'm not too sure at the moment. Sometimes you lose in life, not because you were beaten, but because you didn't even fight. Who is out there defending the Christian society and the Christian values that underpin our society, or the Western values? Who's defending? Why do we have a pledge of citizenship which says, from this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey? Well, rip it up, because it's not fair dinkum. And why aren't we prepared to defend the Christian values which underpin and have underpinned this society for years and years and years? Who's not prepared to go there? And yet we see here all these jihadis, children being urged by jihadis to behead hostages. It's revolting. It's evil. Hostages being executed by jihadis live on social media. It is evil. And who is out there proclaiming there is no part for those people in a Christian society? Soldiers being knifed to death on the streets of London, bombs in Boston and London and Bali and Turkey and Egypt and Moscow and Madrid and Stockholm. Drive-by shootings here. People gunned down in broad daylight. I mean, it goes on and on. Now, where do they get that from? Because their head has been polluted. We worry about the pollution of the Hawkesbury River. We've got to start worrying about the pollution of people's minds. It's beyond the comprehension of most people listening to us today that anyone could do anything like that to another person, or could find any validity for doing that. It's beyond the comprehension of 99.9% of Australians. But the trouble is, we have no leadership, none, to prosecute the case. Frightened to talk about the Christian message today. Oh, we might upset somebody. Well, I don't give a continental who we upset. I mean, this is a Judeo-Christian society. That is the basis of our society, and it has looked after us pretty well for a long, long time. It's now under threat, and unfortunately, now that the fight is on, we've got one lot in one corner, and we look over in the other corner, and there's no one even in the ring. And that's why we are where we are today. Never have got here. Something has to be done on the housing front and everything else about the nature and quality and capacity and capability of people we are bringing in under a refugee program. A tremendous letter, quote, rather than funding a coal mine, a $1 billion low-interest loan from the government could be given to Australian farmers to grow food crops on the land now under threat of becoming the Adani's Carmichael coal mine. Under Australian supervision, food could be supplied to help the needy in India, thus creating jobs for Australians that require caring for the environment instead of destroying it. Supplying coal to a country already struggling to control air pollution produces long-term misery for many. It's an unethical, short-term money-making scam benefiting the privileged few. Joy, I understand exactly what you're saying because, you see, I come from Auckland on the Darling Downs, and they are there fighting a big conglomerate, international conglomerate, and this is just one of their mines. New Hope, it's called, of course. The name's deliberately chosen. We'll give hope to people in the district. Oh yes, we're going to rip up your farms. We're going to destroy the little community around there. And if you go out there, that's all you see. You won't see a cow or a bull or a horse or a farmer. And there's a little tiny outfit, brilliant community people fighting this, the Oakey Coal Action Alliance, and they've been battling them in court. And it goes on and on and on. And how does the battler fund against the mighty, monolithic conglomerate that just wants to rip the stuff out, no royalties, take the water out of the ground? Same old story at Auckland. There's plenty of places where coal can be mined, but not when it destroys communities. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this, the Alliance need to raise $20,000 to get their legal team back in act. We have to embrace the Easter message simply because it hasn't. And we have to do better at accepting the Christian meaning, that is, that goodness, if we work at it, can prevail. It may well be because we've ignored the Christian message that people feel unable to escape the darkness. So I just hope Christian leaders like Archbishop Fisher, he's magnificent, get out of their ecclesiastical doublespeak and try and sell and tell a very important message. It's very important for people to feel this way, that the central Easter message must be the notion of hope. We must believe that hope, that goodness will prevail. Yet everywhere today, as we've been saying, people face an awful conflict between reality and hope. And the reality is many Australians are struggling and battling. And they're entitled to ask, well, what hope have I got? And that's what they often say. Kids, breaks your heart, doesn't it? Broken families. And inwardly, they don't articulate it, but inwardly they're saying, little kids, what hope have I got? Society is so violent, and people say to me, everywhere, violence, this militant Islamic rubbish, awful stuff, children urged by jihadis to behead hostages, hostages executed live on social media. And then the bombs in Boston and London and Bali and Turkey and Egypt and Stockholm and Moscow, and people say, what hope have we when leaders won't stand up to this? And then the greed that we see and covetousness, this I've got my hand in your pocket. People say, well, I hear what you're saying, but what hope have we got? When's someone going to say, stop putting your hand in someone else's pocket? Stop believing that what others have, I'm entitled to have. What hope is, though, we say, we use the word a lot, of turning away from all this. Politicians espouse democracy, which is meant to be government of the people, by the people, but then ignore the people who put them there. Ignore them. People write to politicians and they don't even get an answer. I said, what do we do? People say to me, who am I going to vote for? They both hope. When it suits, they lie to achieve that and turn a blind eye to it. How could a political party accept as a candidate in the parliament a person who lied repeatedly on a statutory declaration, let alone embrace her when she's won? As I said earlier today, people pay taxes and they see others that don't. People say, well, I work hard and I'm happy to pay tax, but they see others getting welfare who don't work at all. And they say, what hope do we have? And what that means is they see evil prospering. Goodness, it seems, to the ordinary bloke in Struggle Street, goodness seems too often to lose. And that's why the Easter message, that's why I'm doing the program this morning, it steadies us up, that every human situation contains hope. And we've got to dwell upon the hope in order to extinguish the pessimism brought about by evil. It's a big ask. He clung to high principles. He had faith in the power of good things. called simply a crisis in political leadership. That's what it's called. If you don't have the guts to defend what we stand for, give the Guernsey to someone who will. Get a bit of gravel in your voice. Absolutely.
Stand up for what you believe in.
Well, we don't even know what they believe in. Get a bit of gravel in your voice. Here we are, Easter weekend. Well, let's hear what you stand for. Let's hear someone defend, as Theresa May had a shot at them. She said this is an important Christian festival. Stop obliterating the word Easter from the festival. Let me say before we go that there are many Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists and those sorts of people who are happy for us to celebrate our Christian festivals. They're happy. It's this mongrel militant mob that have to be dealt with. And that fight will continue, of course.